Tonight on JoyNews Prime, Auditor General launches procurement audit of all state institutions over concerns the country is being fleeced through corrupt procurement practices.
My audit is not focusing on one area. My audit is sweeping all of them. Okay. We are bringing everybody onto the table to answer questions.
The audit coincides with the suspension of the PPA chief executive, whose company was found to be selling government contracts. Opposition National Democratic Congress vows to investigate allegations of vote buying in the party's primaries held on Saturday.
We are going to investigate as to how it happened, even though we tried to avoid it. And then in future, if we have to punish people, we will do that.
Ghana Police Service opens up about the arrest of the third suspect in the Takoradi missing girls case.
During their conversation, we realized he was rather forcing the suspect, his accomplice, to accept whatever he says.
We'll also tell you about another suspected kidnapping, this time here in Accra.
A witness said he had seen a woman struggling with some few gentlemen. But when he came out of his house to see what was happening, the car drove off.
In business,
New Bank of Ghana reports projects some exciting times for banking sector as key indicators witness strong growth for the half year.
I am Israel. JoyNews Prime comes to you live from the JoyNews studio. Akokumlimli here in Accra with digital address GA0992539. Stay tuned in. In our first story, Auditor General Daniel Domlevo says his outfit is conducting a procurement audit of all state institutions, including the Public Procurement Authority, whose CEO has been suspended following the airing of a documentary which showed his involvement in the sale of government contracts. Talent Discovery Limited, a company owned by the PPA chief executive, Ejenim Boating-Ije, was found to be handing out contracts to interested parties willing to surrender a percentage of the contract sum. President Akufo-Addo subsequently suspended him and requested the office of the special prosecutor as well as Shraj to probe the matter. Mr. Domlevo says the procurement audit will get to the bottom of the matter. He spoke with Evans Spencer.
That you brought that firm to be shortlisted. If it doesn't have the requirement, why do we shortlist it?
Okay. And eventually even give him the contract.
Exactly. Yeah. Not only shortlist it, at the end, even won
the contract.
So it doesn't mean it was okay. I've been thinking through up to now. I've not yet gone there, but we will get there to see what bidding documents were submitted, what evaluation and reviews took place before the decisions were taken. Unless somebody tells me that no, they just signed a contract for them. There was no process. Because how are you going to convince the people that you have a firm which has done, normally you show the type of jobs you have done in the past. I've constructed these kilometers here, this building here, this, that here. Those competences, how did they get it? Because they are barely 1 year old and they have never done one before.
Interesting point. Do you agree? I'll come to all of you on this. I know this is a very, but do you then agree with those I've heard on the back of the revelation who say maybe we are over-focusing on the PPA to the neglect of the big individuals who may be behind this company, who are actually influencing the process where they get the contract in spite of their not being qualified to get it in the first place? Are we focusing this right so that we don't miss anything?
I think people are focusing there because of the surprise that it is a procurement agency which is involved. But my audit is not focusing on one area. My audit is sweeping all of them. We are bringing everybody onto the table to answer questions.
On this particular matter?
No, I'm saying I'm doing procurement audit. I cannot tell you what I'm doing. I'm doing procurement audit. And in my procurement audit, I ask questions from both the agency.
So you're looking at the entire chain.
The whole chain. You want to understand. In fact, to be honest with you, one of the areas that Ghanaians have not even addressed their minds to, which beats my mind and understanding, is the fact that people buy just for the sake of buying, not because they need it.
True.
They can buy a vehicle and park it. They can build a hospital and not use it. We can build a school and not use it. And I say, what kind of country is this? People don't look at that. People say there is value for money just because this pen is selling at 10 cedis and you bought it at 10 cedis. But then the guy has bought the pen and thrown it away. Will any normal human being do that? But I think you, the media, even the Joy, I think I've seen you showing vehicles, showing a whole lot of things. With that. As a country, we have to wake up. All is not lost yet. Our audit is on the way. It's premature for me to tell you some of our findings, and it's very unprofessional for me to talk about it. I am very sure that when we finish, you will see our report.
The full interview will be aired on PM Express on the JoyNews channel at 9 p.m. That's less than 2 hours away from now. But staying with the story, the special prosecutor has directed the suspended CEO of the Public Procurement Authority to appear before his office this Thursday. Meanwhile, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice Raj, which the President requested to look into for possible conflicts of interest in the case, has been meeting on this issue. Raj boss Joseph Whittal has been speaking with MFR Power about what the Commission will do if it establishes there was conflict of interest.
The Commission has quite a number of multiple mandates. The administrative justice mandate actually concerns ensuring that administrative bodies and officials act within the law. And so even though the President is referring issues of conflict of interest, clearly there are issues of administrative justice that are involved. And you do know that we also have a corruption mandate. Even though referral has been made to the special prosecutor, we take note that we have a mandate also over the corruption aspect.
Now that all this has been established, then when exactly are you launching into the investigations proper?
By the constitutional injunctions, we are expected first to serve the person of interest with the complaint, in this case the referral from the presidency, and to demand that within 10 days he admits in writing to the issues of conflict of interest, and if he should do so expressly and without equivocation. And on the basis of that, if he says he admits, then there will be no point in carrying out an investigation. We will take appropriate action. But if he does not admit, then we will go into full investigation. So by virtue of due process, we have to give him the opportunity to respond to the allegations.
And with that 10 days that we talk about, has it been triggered? Has he already been written to? That's Mr. Jenny Mboatinyeje. Has Raj written to him already? Or if not, when are you expecting to do so?
Latest by tomorrow, he will be.
Now, statesman and politician Dr. Nyawo Tamaklo has described as worrying President Akufo-Addo's posture towards allegations of corruption leveled against his appointees and officials in his government. This comes on the back of the contracts for sale expose, which cited the chief executive officer of the Public Procurement Authority in a conflict of interest situation and issues bordering on corruption. According to the statesman and politician, the president should severely punish his appointees rather than suspending them.
Akufo-Addo came in almost immediately. There was this petrol problem, burst or whatever you can call it. Yeah. It is a serious thing.
The boss scandal.
Yes, serious scandal. Very serious. That if it had been in a civilized Western country, the leader would have resigned. And
the leaders in the president?
Yes, he would have left office. Because look at the promises you give. And do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The promises he gave, anti-corruption, he will fight corruption, this and that, cited other people as incompetent and corrupt. And then you come in, and the thing is black and white right in front of you, and you brush it under the carpet. It's impossible.
And PDS scandal and all this.
Scandal and others.
You think that the president cares? Does he care about?
I don't think he cares. Because you see, Akufo-Addo that I have known, if he cares, he would have handled this thing differently.
He doesn't care about the level of corruption in his government.
I don't think. You see, and I believe also that the reason why he's quiet is simple, that he feels if a serious, independent commission is set up to look into all these points, there are about 8. it will topple his government. Whether he's implicated or not, it will affect him, badly.
Okay.
I think you understand me.
But that's what he's supposed to do as a president.
Exactly. That is what he's supposed to do as a president. Because the involvement will go so deep that it will affect him. Because look at this PDS. There are people who even say that he initiated it. That electricity rubbish.
Yeah.
What do you call PDS?
PDS, yeah.
That he was the one who really started the whole thing rolling. He hasn't come to say anything about it. But that is the impression the public has.
So do you think the corruption, the scandals in the previous government compared to this, are you yourself disappointed? Would you say the rate has gone higher than it was under the previous government?
But a lot of people have been saying that is the worst in our history. Do you understand me? It's the worst in our history because even when stories are brought up, they are quickly covered.
Covered by who?
By the leadership.
Okay.
It's the leadership. Recently, the most recent one is about this procurement.
Yeah.
He came out to talk and quickly says that the man has been
suspended. You think that's not enough?
No, not at all. You quickly set up an independent inquiry and have the man sacked straight. It should have nothing to do with the work.
He's not proven guilty yet, so?
Rubbish. Wasn't the electoral commissioner sacked instantly?
Yeah.
When she was accused of having used state money to do something. Was she proven guilty? No, has really me personally has disappointed me.
Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo was speaking with Sadiq Obama of Atinka FM. Now, some candidates who lost in the just-ended NDC parliamentary primaries are alleging vote buying and blaming the practice for their defeat. Kumbungu MP Ras Mubarak and former Deputy Communications Minister Victoria Hammer believe the results could have been different if not for the age-old practice of candidates influencing voters with money. The election was held in 157 constituencies to decide which individuals will represent the NDC in the 2020 parliamentary contest. Joseph Akable has more on the complaints of the defeated candidates.
I engaged the district BNI officer. I specifically told him I would like for him to flag. This was very vivid.
Kumbungu MP Ras Mubarak. He lost the election but believes the terms were not fair.
To delegates back and forth. And I felt it was a bit strange, and very worrying.
For him, this is a problem not only for the NDC, but for Ghana's electoral system.
But can actually come to the constituency, a businessman, and say, I don't like the face of this MP, so I'm going to put in X amount of money just to get him out. And that's exactly what is happening.
He is not the only losing candidate alleging vote buying. Former Deputy Communication Minister Victoria Hammer posted on Facebook that she lost because
I vowed never to use money to rob the people of their dignity.
And she said more.
I campaigned on the message, hoping to inspire delegates to awaken in them a higher consciousness towards transformational change. Elections in Ghana is so easy. Just make sure you are the highest bidder on election day, and you will surely win.
In a central region constituency, it was alleged candidates shared cloths and money to delegates. Earlier, President Rawlings had said money should not influence the election.
Oh, we should all comport ourselves properly and do the most obvious, logical thing. Okay? Let's not allow money to influence our choices.
But it appears the possibility of such a clean process would be remote.
Well, some of the contestants who the complaints have been made against have been addressing the concerns. Tema Central candidate Ewi Bright and Ayawaso West Wuogon candidate John Dumalu say their support for constituents cannot be equated as vote buying.
People expect that, oh, you're going to meet Ebi Bright and she's sharing 50-50 CDs and all of that. No, but there are certain provisions that are made. I know, for example, that the party itself, the party as a structure, made provision for transportation to be paid for each delegate, because we come from across, and when these are being disbursed, I mean, some people can use that. I mean, in my constituency, for example, it was used as a tool to convince people to vote for a certain candidate. But this is money that is there for everybody for their transportation. It's part of what we have to do, to make sure that the elections, take place. And so, you know, there are all kinds of things.
But as a team, you didn't facilitate anybody's...
No, you facilitate a few things. You make sure there's food, there's water. I mean, we're there and we're jubilating. That's only responsible. You know, that's responsible. You must take care of your people. As far as vote buying, the danger with that, the funny thing about that is, how do you know what somebody does when they go, you know, into that booth?
So you give the most.
You give.
So if somebody's given 100 cedis, you up it and give 150 or 200.
Yeah, but they've collected. They collect from everybody, but they still have a preferred candidate. The money doesn't determine the vote.
You don't believe that?
No, I don't think that it does. I think that we should take care of the constituency, and that's what I concentrated on doing. So, for example, I put infrastructure. I mean, there's been a persistent issue in the constituency. We need infrastructure at the branches. We need to have meetings. So I provided chairs. For me, things that we can put down and pass on from year to year are more important than this one. But things like transportation for each delegate, which the party does by itself, for me is okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, you can't really define what vote buying. I mean, look, before the election, I was paying school fees for delegates. Before the elections, I was giving out loans to women who are delegates to expand their business and so on and so forth. I don't think that's vote buying. I think for me, it is helping people to be able to you know, expand their businesses, or helping people and so on and so forth. I even donated plastic chairs to certain branches, because at the end of the day, when you go and you speak to them, they say that, oh, John, we don't have plastic chairs. We rent plastic chairs. And I was like, no, okay, then let me get you plastic chairs. So all these things are things that I have been doing. I don't think that is vote buying. I think you are attending to the needs of delegates. And so if people say that there was a lot of vote buying, I don't think.
But are these things that you do even if you don't win?
Yes, exactly. I mean, look, from 2012, I was paying fees for people in Legon campus. I don't think that was vote buying. I think I was just helping the community. And so it's not, I mean, there's a thin line between helping somebody and saying that you are buying votes. You are not buying the vote. Because at the end of the day, the good thing about IOS was that the delegates.
Meanwhile, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Barbara Sewa Asamoah, says the executive will commence investigations into allegations of vote buying made by some of the defeated parliamentary aspirants in the primaries held on Saturday. She told Gifty and appear on the polls the allegations will be thoroughly investigated.
Up this morning to Victoria and Ras Mubarak's allegation. We are not going to sweep it under the carpet. Like I said, we are going to investigate as to how it happened, even though we tried to avoid it. And then in future, if we have to punish people, we will do that. And then in future, we will also be able to take decisions to ensure that it doesn't happen
Some
again.
of these allegations came right after Ras Mubarak, for example, spoke to us right after the election.
But so
something must have been done.
We haven't met as a party. All the national executives went to different regions to go and supervise the elections. We have now come back to Accra. Tomorrow we are going to have a FEC meeting, take these issues on board, and any other issue, not only this one.
Asamoah also says the party may consider reverting to the electoral college system, which was initiated in 2015 as against the delegate system.
We noticed that it was a challenge, the delegate system. That is why we introduced we widened the electoral college in the last primaries. But we noticed that it also came with its own challenges. And so we need to blend the two and see how we can do it better. I am sure in future we are going to go back to the electoral college system. But we need to put some measures in place to ensure that it's, because there was the issue of people who are not even NDC coming in to select candidates for us, and that is what caused our defeats. That is what some people, that was the opinion. I was a member of the Professor Butcher committee when we went around after the election, and then largely the people who spoke about that system, that was a complaint that they made. And so as a party, even this one, even though it's a delegate system, you see that we have expanded it.
Okay.
Previously it used to be smaller than this. And as we go on, we are trying to see how we'll be able to start the whole process early, and then we'll be able to get as many people as possible on board so that we'll be able to curb.
The Ghana Police Service has opened up about the arrest of a third suspect in the case of the missing Takoradi girls. Chika Inodim, who is believed to be part of a cross-border criminal gang including kidnapping, has been under security watch list of the government of Nigeria and Ghana. Detective Inspector Dr. Cesare, in an interview on Ghana Police Watch, says the suspect's arrest was helpful in leading officers to where the suspected human remains were retrieved.
August 2nd, we had information from our counterpart in Nigeria that one of the accomplices has been arrested. The suspect, we allowed him to speak to that suspect who has been arrested in Nigeria. And during their conversation, we realized he was rather forcing the suspect, his accomplice, to accept whatever he says. So after that, we decided that we have to extend our investigations to another level, do more search in the 3 areas he was arrested, he was recaptured, and where he lives. So we first went to his house in Cancer.
This is Cancer, where someone Wells lived. So that's a septic tank.
Yes,
where
this is a septic tank.
Remains were retrieved.
Just
looking at this area, this is certain and abandoned.
Yes,
this one
uncompleted.
Has not been completed
yes.
at all.
When we came, this place was like this, bushy like this. So we have to clear this area because we wanted to find the septic tank, which is normally called a manhole in this house. This particular one is the one which we were able to open, filled with liquid waste, mixed with physics materials. Yes. We picked a long stick from this place, and one of our colleagues stirred the liquid waste. We saw a human hair, women rasta. That we normally call mesh in it. So we suspected something here.
Was it mesh that had been used or mesh?
It has been used, meshed.
So it came off somebody's head?
They have tied it with a ribbon. Yes. We found
the suspected human remains retrieved in the last few weeks are being subjected to DNA analysis. Some of the forensic experts have also been speaking about their work.
Assignment was pretty simple: to come here and take DNA samples from the alleged surviving relatives of the missing persons that we are after. I did a little bit of counseling. I explained the procedures to them, and they understood, they cooperated pretty well, and the samples were taken with no hindrance whatsoever at all. So yeah, it really did go well. It really did go well. We've actually taken DNA samples from 4 families, 4 family members. Some were mothers and children or siblings of the missing persons. And then also, in some cases, the father. The father was also present, so we added. But in cases like this, usually the mother is of prime importance because of, finding the bones, all of them in one same pit. So using the mother becomes of prime importance. There are cases where some fathers may not necessarily be the actual fathers of these individuals. So we're going to do both maternity testing, and in the case of those whose fathers were present, paternity testing as well. And that will give us a lot of clues as it were. And then in some instances, we will have to do siblingship, or what we call other relationship testing techniques as well. DNA, and specifically nuclear DNA, can be found in almost every cell that is found in a body. Saliva, urine, tissue, blood, semen, bones, teeth, hair with roots, fingernails, debris.
Well, still staying with this development, the Nugua police is currently searching for a 32-year-old woman who has gone missing. Benedicta Fiahe was last seen in the early hours of Saturday, August 17, 2019, and has since not been found. Her slippers and dress she was last seen wearing were later found lying along the street close to her home, leaving her family to conclude she has been kidnapped. A neighbor and close friend of Benedicta, Bernice Fiahe, pleaded with the police to speed up investigations.
Napa, for 3 o'clock no.
Around 3 a.m., she woke up to leave for the market as always. Around 7 a.m., her little sister went out to buy porridge and found her elder sister's basket, dress and slippers along the street.
Eni natari aso oba market wa odi besesa no ho eni ne mpapo o sha odi ko market ni nyina agugu kwan ne so nti oyeye no frey se ni esini eni ye rashi koyen so na eyampa na so na papa bi e wo nearby eno ka
An eyewitness said he had seen a woman struggling with some few gentlemen, but when he came out of his house to see what was happening, the car drove off.
Nti nyoye oye say oye dede bie gate no enu hu say omo kan say chale let's go enu ana omo tu car no ekoye na car omo hu ye eye say abosu kan macho no ena omo so light no ena esiso nti enu na ye car ohu yi esi Saturday ahumachi be 3 a.m. ena kidnapping time na since then ye hu nipa no ne phone susu adum ye fra ye nya ye ni baby a owo sese a ye kasa no
na o say owakola no wedi mfie sen
wedi be 5 years akola abaiwa 5 years
na isi akola na one neti no ene nua no how are they faring omo papa mu tisen
omo abutu.
The family is devastated. She has a 5-year-old daughter. We've reported the incident to the police, and they have commenced investigations.
Police force say, "Asemi we eni enyan na edin nti yesromo."
However, we are pleading with them to quickly investigate and find Benedicta.
Na omunya omu research nintem. Na yentime ehunu na yehuni ayenye yehu nti ye pa omocho.
The Chinese community in Ghana says it is against moves by Western governments using media to paint an inaccurate picture about the situation in Hong Kong. Protests broke out some months ago when government decided to introduce an extradition bill that would allow mainland China to try criminals. Chinese ambassador to Ghana, His Excellency Shi Ting-wang, believes the US and the UK want to destabilize China using the Hong Kong issue. Addressing the press after the General Assembly of the Chinese community in Ghana, Shi Ting-wang said the protest back home is not as peaceful as the West wants the world to believe. He says some protesters are destroying state properties, assaulting police officers, and bringing the Hong Kong airport to a standstill. He chided the Western media for turning a blind eye to the destruction being caused to state properties, among other things.
I would like to point out that foreign forces must stop interfering in Hong Kong affairs. Evidence shows that the situation in Hong Kong would not have deteriorated so much had it not been for the interference and incitement of foreign forces. Some Western politicians and organizations have publicly or covertly given various types of support to the violent radicals and tried to interfere in the judicial independence of Hong Kong and obstruct Hong Kong police from bringing the violent offenders to justice. I want to reiterate here that Hong Kong is part of China. No foreign country should interfere.
Shi Wang also added the Chinese government will not allow few violent citizens to undermine the rule of law in the country. He assured Chinese nationals in Ghana that the government of China will do everything possible to end the unrest.
The central government of China would never allow few violent offenders to drag Hong Kong down to a dangerous abyss. We would never allow anyone to harm the rule of law and sound development in Hong Kong. We would never allow anyone to undermine one country, two systems at any excuse. Should the situation in Hong Kong deteriorate further into unrest uncontrollable for the government of Hong Kong, the central government would not sit on its hands and watch. But we are confident that the Hong Kong SAR government has the ability to handle the Hong Kong affairs. At the same time, we have enough solutions and enough power within the limit of the basic law of Hong Kong.
Child poverty continues to be a problem in Ghana. Recent revelations by the National Development Planning Commission show that over 70% of Ghanaian children lack access to adequate welfare. This means that only a few young ones have access to proper security, education, and other amenities necessary for proper growth of a child according to the Sustainable Development Goals. There's more in this report by JoyNews' PSCA Nanayaos Safo, whose report is read to you.
It's 8 a.m. on a Friday in a location not too far from Ghana's capital, Accra. 3 boys of school-going age tag along in what seems to be an endless spread of garbage. They head towards the Kole Lagoon, where odor from the polluted lagoon fills the air, oblivious to the infections and health hazards it poses. The 3 boys proceed into the filthy unknown, no school, no supervision, and no parents there to help them properly navigate their future. This is a true story from Agublushi, a commercial district in the Greater Accra region of Ghana. Many children come to these areas as a result of accompanying their working mothers, mostly traders. Few go to school. A good number have no idea who their mothers or fathers are. Vida, a trader in the district, shares her concerns and the dangers of raising a child in such an environment.
It is a really disturbing situation. I used to have children with me here, but due to illness, they could not advance their education. Many of the children here migrated from other places without their parents, and so they live their lives anyhow, since they have no one to take care of them. I think it would be prudent if government had social interventions in place for these children. The sanitation situation here causes so many problems for children. If government could help in any way, it would really be appreciated. The rains yield even nastier filth and an influx of mosquitoes. Anytime it rains, the sanitation situation worsens. I work here, but I am more concerned about how it affects the innocent children. Diarrhea and other illnesses are very common. It's very disturbing. The gutters are also nothing to write home about. Would appreciate it if government help with waste management and disease control in the area.
The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection says it is working to ensure caterers serve more local foods under the Ghana School Feeding Program. The Minister, Cynthia Morrison, says this will not only improve the nutritional content of the food being served in schools, but also enhance local productivity and reduce costs of running the program. She was speaking at the Ministry's 2019 summit to review its last year performance.
Nearly 2.6 million people currently enjoy one hot meal a day in largely deprived schools across the country under the Ghana School Feeding Program. The program has provided employment to 8,351 caterers and cooks. But the program has been fraught with serious challenges since its inception in 2005. Cynthia Morrison says they are working to make the program better.
We are also instituting measures to reduce administrative costs on the Ghana School Feeding Program to barest minimum and stimulate local agricultural growth by improving strategies to facilitate caterers to buy and use local growth foodstuff from local farmers.
She says other social protection programs such as the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty LEAP are receiving further boost.
The ministry is implementing several social intervention programs, and some of which include Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty, that is LEAP, which is a cash transfer program for the extremely poor household. The objective is to smoothen their consumption and nutrition, as well as increase access to health care among children, the aged 65 years and above, without productive capacity, and people with severe disability. A social component of the program focuses on pregnant and lactating mothers, as well as women with children under 1 year old. The component, to the large extent, contributes to the cognitive development and well-being of children.
The minister said despite the gains chalked by the country's social protection sector, major challenges remain. She listed them as child marriage, child neglect, violence against women and children, as well as poverty. She says the ministry has initiated a number of programs to promote women's empowerment and gender equality.
The ministry has also initiated a number of programs to promote women's empowerment and gender equality. Distinguished participants, to ensure that our services reach the doorsteps of our beneficiaries, we have, under my stewardship, introduced community dialogue series in partnership with the local government services to interact with beneficiaries of our services, share with them that we do and receive inputs from them to improve our services delivery. We started from the central region and will move to the remaining regions of the country in the coming months.
The two-day summit is themed Promoting Social Inclusion, Leave No One Behind.
The Savannah Regional Executives of the ruling New Patriotic Party have extended an open challenge to former President John Dramani Mahama to tell Ghanaians of any alternative policy directions he will offer when giving political power. Addressing journalists in Damongo, Savannah Regional Security Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Idrisu, said Ghanaians want constructive and credible alternatives and not insults and backdoor politics.
Mahama and the NDC failed to make any attempt to providing water for its own people. The Savannah MPP calls on President Mahama and the NDC to do the honorable thing by acknowledging the effort of President Akufo-Addo. President Mahama and the NDC do not have anything good for Savannah. Nana Akufo-Addo is making effort to provide potable water for the relatives of Savannah region. The Yape Water Project is yet another example, as well as the numerous developmental projects scattered across the Savannah region.
All right, thank you very much for watching JoyNews Prime. That's where we bring it to an end. But up next, we bring you our documentary. Stay tuned in.